Hello YouTube and welcome back to another Dare to Game video. Today we're playing Red Dead Online and we're going to be doing a long requested video. And that is going to be the top 7 weapons overall in Red Dead Online. Or it's basically going to just show you which weapon is best in each class, because obviously every class has a reason. So I can't just say that the top 7 best weapons in the game are all handguns because I use handguns most frequently. No, instead we're going to be using the most objective scale possible, and that's going to be just including one of each type of weapon. And I've arrived at this ranking based on 2 things. One, the actual real-life stats of the weapons in-game, and popular consensus from the Red Dead community. So I've been running a series of polls for, I don't know, the last couple weeks on my channel here on YouTube, and if you weren't able to take part in those, it's possible that that is because you're not subscribed and you didn't see the polls. So the best way to fix that so that in the future you don't miss out on polls like this is to subscribe to the channel and keep your eyes open for them, as well as uploads, because that way you'll be able to watch my videos every day. But with all that in mind, we're just going to dive on in and start off with number 1 or number 7, depending which way you go. I will not be counting these down. The last one I talk about will be my favorite out of all of them, but that doesn't mean that the rest are in any particular order. So let's just start it off with the first one on this list. So the first weapon we're going to be talking about is the improved bow. And so basically there are only 2 bows in the game, the standard bow, which we had for a long time, and then the improved bow, which we got, I think it was in 2020 is when we got the improved bow. And basically the only difference is this one's customizable because there's a bunch of different variants. The only variant I have is the wooden inlay variant, but that's okay because it's actually my favorite out of all the available ones. So what makes this bow special? I mean, I guess we should start off talking about what it is. So it's based off just a generic American recurve bow. Not much more to say about it than that. There's not a specific model or a specific make that we're imitating here. The other one is a standard flat or short bow, depending on, you know, what terminology you like to use. So they're very basic in function, obviously, because they're just bows. So it seems that popular consensus for why the improved bow, I should say, direct your attention to the graphic here on screen, 89% of people voted for the improved bow. So it won by a sizable margin. And it seems like popular consensus was, even though the fact that it has lower damage than the standard bow, it's only slightly lower. And for that, you get much higher range and a much lower stamina drain for holding shots. And honestly, I have to concur. I use the improved bow all the time. It's a weapon that I absolutely love. A lot of people will point out that it's definitely got a lot of advantages to it, especially if you consider the fact that you can use Deadeye very effectively with it because of its extremely long range. And, of course, you know, the use of dynamite arrows makes it basically a grenade launcher in this game, which, you know, I can understand is why quite a few people don't like it. But it's great for taking out war wagons, especially in the new Call to Arms mode is something that I definitely enjoy. But mostly what I use it for is just stealth kills, because obviously it's the best weapon in the game for stealth kills. Did you see that? Did you see how long that shot was using Painted Black? That was crazy. But yeah, that's why the improved bow is going to be taking the first slot on this list. It's definitely a lot better weapon, just overall balance-wise, than the standard bow, and I think most people that have used both would agree. So that is the improved bow. Let's move on to the next weapon. So the next gun we're going to be taking a look at is the bolt-action rifle, which won the rifle poll by a considerable margin, taking 77% of the votes. So that's a very high margin considering the amount of guns that we're polling about. But it makes sense when you consider the stats of this weapon. So the bolt-action rifle is based on the real-life Craig Jorgensen rifle, and that is a repeating bolt-action rifle designed by the Norwegians Ole Herman Johannes Craig and Erik Jorgensen in the late 19th century. It was adopted as a standard arm by Norway, Denmark, and the United States. About 300 were delivered to Boer forces in the South African Republic as well. A distinctive feature of the Craig Jorgensen action is its magazine. While many other rifles of its era use an integral box magazine loaded by a charger or stripper clip, the magazine of the Craig Jorgensen is internal with the receiver, the part of the rifle that houses the operating parts, featuring an opening on the right-hand side with a hinged cover instead of a charger. Single cartridges are inserted through the side opening and are pushed up, around, and into the action by a spring follower. Later, similar to a charger, a claw-type clip would be made for the Craig that allowed the magazine to be loaded all at once, also known as the Craig Speedloader magazine. So this rifle is one that a lot of people love and a lot of people do not love, but obviously a lot more love it because it took 77% of the vote. The reasons that most people give for liking this rifle over the other ones is that obviously it holds 5 rounds, so it beats out the only other competitor in this area, which was the Springfield, which only holds 1 round. And this one, most people pointed out that it is great at both medium and long range because because you can either choose to use the medium scope or not to use it, so you can toggle the scope on and off and use it kind of like a repeater pretty close to medium range, or you can put that scope on and use it essentially as a sniper. And a lot of people also pointed out that they really liked the fact that it was a very, very useful hunting and combat weapon, so it's definitely one that early game they recommended getting because it suits a lot of your needs. And so the first gun that a lot of people buy after that is either going to be some sort of a rifle or some sort of a repeater. While the bolt-action rifle fills all of those roles. It's a sniper, it's a repeater, and it's a mid-range rifle. So that's why a lot of people really like the bolt-action. Honestly, I use the bolt-action a lot. I actually like the Springfield better for hunting, if I'm being honest, just because, especially if I use paint it black, that way I don't accidentally ruin the pelt by accidentally clicking an extra shot on a target that I don't want. But honestly, like I said, I do agree that just mathematically speaking, the bolt-action is probably the best rifle in the game outside of snipers. So that is the second weapon we're going to be talking about today. Let's move on to the third. So the next rifle, or I should say weapon, but it is a rifle we'll be looking at today, is the CARCANO rifle, which won the poll for best sniper rifle by a margin of 78%. And outside of the poll, it definitely also takes the ranking for best sniper in my opinion, and honestly, just mathematically speaking, probably best rifle overall. It's got a ridiculously high DPS. It's probably the most overpowered gun in the game by far, which is funny because its real-life counterpart wasn't nearly that good. The CARCANO rifle in Red Dead Online is based on a CARCANO rifle in real life. It's the frequently used name for a series of Italian bolt-action magazine-fed repeating military rifles and carbines. Introduced in 1891, this rifle was chambered for the rimless 6.5 by 52mm CARCANO round. It was developed by the chief technician Salvatore CARCANO at the Turin Army Arsenal in 1890, and was originally called the Modello 91, or simply M91, successively replacing the previous Viteri Vitali rifles and carbines in the 10.35 by 47mm rim. It was produced from 1892 to 1945. The M91 was used in both rifle and shorter-barreled carbine form by most Italian troops during World War I, and by Italian and some German forces during World War II. The rifle was also used during the Winter War by Finland, and again by regular and irregular forces in Syria, Libya, Tunisia, and Algeria during various post-war conflicts in those countries. The CARCANO rifle is also, interestingly, supposedly the rifle that Lee Harvey Oswald used to assassinate U.S. President John F. Kennedy. So definitely an interesting note there. Most of the reasons given for this one being the best were that it has a nice high fire rate and holds 6 rounds, giving it the highest ammo capacity out of the snipers, which competition there isn't very tough because the rolling block only holds 1 round, and it also reloads very fast because it just has a box magazine. This gun can actually achieve one-shot kills like the rolling block if you use the right cards and ammo. So that is the number 3 spot, the sniper rifle, which goes to the CARCANO. Let's move on to number 4. So the next weapon we're going to be taking a look at, the one that takes the number 4 spot, is the best repeater in the game. And according to this poll, that is the LANCASTER repeater, which took 77% of the vote. This rifle, now it's debated between most people who play the game, especially those who know much about guns, whether it's based on the Winchester Model 1866 or the Winchester Model 1873. I personally think it performs a lot more like the 1873, but Rockstar themselves said it's based off the 1866, so that's what we're going to go with. The first Winchester rifle, the Winchester Model 1866, was originally chambered for the rimfire 44 Henry round. Nicknamed the Yellow Boy because of its receiver of a bronze brass alloy called gunmetal, it was famous for its rugged construction and lever-action repeating rifle mechanism that allowed the user to fire a number of shots before having to reload. Nelson King's improved patent remedied flaws in the Henry rifle by incorporating a loading gate on the side of the frame and integrating a round sealed magazine that was partially covered by a forestock. France purchased 6,000 Model 1866 rifles along with 4.5 million 44 Henry cartridges during the Franco-Prussian War. The Ottoman Empire purchased 45,000 Model 1866 rifles and 5,000 carbines in 1870 and 1871. These rifles were used in the 1877 Russo-Turkish War, causing much more surprise when outnumbered Turks at the siege of Plevna inflicted many times more casualties than their opponents armed with single-shot Kernka and Burden rifles. The Model 1866 compelled Russians to develop a new rifle, the Mosin Nagant, after the war. So this gun not only won the West here in America, but also changed the way that most countries saw warfare across the rest of the world. The only point of contention here was that mathematically speaking, the Evans repeater is actually superior to it because it holds more rounds, has about the same accuracy, maybe just slightly worse. Those stats together just give it a much higher DPS than the LANCASTER repeater. That being said, and even though I agree that the Evans is a superior weapon when you're just looking at the numbers, I actually also prefer the LANCASTER repeater. I think it looks cooler, and I also really like that it has the highest accuracy accuracy, and the second highest ammo capacity, which is 14 rounds, which is quite a few rounds. For all of those reasons, that's why the Lancaster takes the number 4 spot on this list. So let's move on to the number 5 weapon. So the next gun we're going to be talking about, the one that takes the number 5 spot, is the one that won the shotgun poll, and that is the pump action shotgun. And now this is another one where it's not only the one that won the poll, but also my personal favorite out of all the weapons in the game. Now, while mathematically speaking, the one with the highest DPS and just general highest stats overall is the repeating shotgun, the pump action shotgun is by far the crowd favorite and the one that I actually enjoy using the most. This shotgun is based off the real-life Winchester Model 1897, also known as the Model 97, M97, or trench gun. It's a pump action shotgun with an external hammer and a tube magazine, manufactured by Winchester Repeating Arms Company. The Model 1897 was an evolution of the Winchester Model 1893 designed by John Browning. From 1897 until 1957, over 1 million of these shotguns were produced. The reasons that most people gave for this one being their favorite was that it sounds and looks the coolest, which can confirm, and it has the second highest ammo capacity because it holds 5 rounds. It's only behind the repeating shotgun, and it also has the second highest accuracy right behind the double barrel shotgun. Definitely the best shotgun in the game, and certainly one of the best weapons overall. There's a lot of reasons why people, myself included, love the pump action shotgun, and I think all of them are justifiable and make it really easy to give it the number 5 spot on this list. So the next gun we're going to be taking a look at today is the famous, or infamous, depending on your perspective on PvP in this game, Mauser pistol, which took the number 6 spot on this list by winning the pistol poll by a considerable margin. It took 54% of the total vote. And honestly, that's not surprising considering, again, this is one of those guns that I think most people will agree, even if they don't really like it, is just an overpowered gun in general. Most of the reasons people gave for choosing this weapon as their favorite pistol in the game is that it has the highest ammo capacity of 10 shots, fastest reload per shot, so I think the reload speed of the semi-auto pistol is just slightly higher, even though they're almost exactly the same, but that one only reloads 8 shots and this one reloads 10, so it's quite a bit faster, and both of them have a much higher reload speed than the volcanic pistol. And the Mauser has the highest damage per second because it's got nice high damage, especially if you're using any of the improved rounds, and it just fires ridiculously fast and has a fast reload speed with a high ammo capacity. So it's basically, especially if you're dual wielding it, it's almost like using an SMG in this game. So the Mauser pistol in the game is based on the real-life Mauser C96, which was a semi-automatic pistol that was originally produced by German arms manufacturer Mauser from 1896 until 1937. Unlicensed copies of the gun were also manufactured in Spain and China in the first half of the 20th century. The distinctive characteristics of the C96 are the integral box magazine in front of the trigger, the long barrel, and a grip shaped like the handle of a broom. As it is, like I said, especially using Gunslinger's Choice, if you're dual wielding these things, they're just frickin' deadly. The Gunslinger's Choice is pretty much essential because otherwise the accuracy is absolutely horrendous on these pistols. So that's why I definitely recommend, especially if you're going to dual wield these things, definitely use Gunslinger's Choice or the accuracy sucks. So that is why the C96, or I should say just the Mauser pistol, takes the number 6 spot on this list. So let's move on to the final weapon that we're going to be discussing today. So the next gun we're going to be looking at, which takes the final spot on this list, is the Navy Revolver, which won the revolver poll with a total vote of 60%. The Navy Revolver in the game is based off the real-life Colt 1851 Navy Revolver. The Colt revolving belt pistol, or Navy pistol, sometimes erroneously referred to as Colt revolving belt pistol of naval caliber, or of Navy caliber, is a cap and ball revolver that was designed by Samuel Colt between 1847 and 1850. Colt first referred to the revolver as the Ranger size model and the revolving belt, but the designation Navy quickly took over. After the Civil War, revolvers using fixed metallic cartridges came into widespread use. The Colt Navy remained in production until 1873, being replaced in the Colt line with what would become one of the manufacturer's most famous handguns, the Colt Single Action Army, also known as the Peacemaker or Colt 45. Most of the people who voted for this one said that they like it because it's got the highest accuracy and the highest range. It has the second highest damage, being only slightly lower than the LeMat revolver. And most people agree that it looks the coolest and sounds the coolest, and I definitely agree. The Navy revolver in the game is definitely by far my all-around favorite weapon in the game. And if you're dual wielding them with Gunslinger's Choice, it is like a mid-range sniper. The thing is just insane. With all that in mind, that is actually the end of the list. You now know the 7 best weapons in the game, or if you wanted to use a slightly different terminology for this video, the best weapon for each category. So if you like this video, definitely leave a like rating to show me and everyone else, and most importantly YouTube and the algorithm, that this is a good video that they should recommend and that everyone should watch. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, or most importantly any requests for anything you'd like to see in the future on the channel, definitely leave those down in the comment section below. And lastly, if you haven't already and you like my content, I definitely now invite you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. That way you can help me me reach my subscriber goal, which is probably the most important thing to do, tied right up there with ending world hunger. Of course, you can then stay up to date with all my uploads and watch lots of great content that you enjoy, which you probably will enjoy if you liked this because my content is very consistent. But with all that in mind, thanks for watching and have a nice day, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching another Dare to Game video. If you liked this video, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. If you like my content and would like to support this channel, consider becoming a member today for as little as $1.99 a month. It makes a huge difference. But in any case, thanks for watching and have a nice day. I'll see you next time.